to Calliope Puppets Studio. Hello everyone, my name is Karen Connor and I am the puppeteer here at Calliope Puppets Studio, but today I am going to show you how to make something that is not a puppet but is very fun to make, especially for Mardi Gras season, and that is a shoebox float. Let's get started. Now the materials you will need, first of all, are a shoebox, but actually it doesn't have to be a shoebox. I really don't have one of the perfect kind of shoeboxes, the kind where the lid comes off, but this one that I happen to have will do. Another option, and I'm going to show you how to make floats with all of these, are a tissue box. That also can make an excellent float. And grown-ups, you might even want to look for your wine boxes because those are a nice sturdy box. It's the perfect size. So you need a box. You also need something to decorate with, and that could be paper. Whatever you have around your house is fine. What I have here, I have some tissue paper. I have some advertisements that have some colorful pictures in them that we can just cut out those stripes as nice colors to use. I have a bunch of other kinds of construction paper. A little shiny scrap here was left from something. So whatever you have around is fine. So that's to decorate, that's to cover your float. You also might want a little bit of extra cardboard. I've got some cardboard from a box, or maybe if you want something stronger, just a piece of regular brown cardboard, that's fine too. The other things you need to decorate with are, again, whatever you have around is fine. I have a couple of pieces of feathers. I have some shiny, I have a lot of stuff because I teach in schools, and so I bring in stuff for my students to work with. But I've got some nice glittery things here. I have some popsicle sticks. But again, you do not need all this stuff. Whatever you have is fine. And I've got some pipe cleaners. These happen to be shiny ones. Let's see, I've got a few purple straws that are kind of nice, and some pom-poms, and I only have one string of beads. That's pretty sad at Mardi Gras, but that's all I have. And the other thing you need are, I think, ways to attach it on. You're going to use glue. A glue gun works great. I have this one, but a warm melt one is fine too. Tacky glue is my favorite kind of glue to use, but whatever you have is fine. You might even be able to use a glue stick. That would be fine. You're going to need something to cut with, like a scissors. There are a couple things that would be helpful if an adult helps with this, to use something like a cutter, a box cutter kind of thing. Another kind of paper that could be helpful is wrapping paper. And then just, again, whatever you have around. Now, the other category of things you need are whoever is going to ride on your float. So you might want to use a favorite stuffed animal. I have this little troll that I like that sits on one of my bookshelves. He's kind of big, but if you have the right size box, you could have one of your larger stuffed animals or favorite dolls. Do that, and I'm going to show you how to fasten them on. The other things that I just had laying around, I have these beautiful little beaded animals that I brought back from South Africa. So if I wanted to put them on a float, I can do that. And I have this little wooden cat. So again, we're going to see how we want to decorate, and I'm going to show you, and you can watch how I put the floats together. And you can do it however you want. I know your float is going to be magnificent. Now, if you have a regular shoebox where the lid comes off, you are all ready to go. But I didn't have one. I had the kind you have to cut the lid off, but that will work just as well. What I'm going to do is add a little scrap of cardboard for the edge of it, just so it's the same on both sides. Now I'm going to cover the box with construction paper. I decided to use the Mardi Gras colors of purple, green, and gold. But you can color your box whatever you want. So I put some hot glue, and again, you can use whatever kind of glue you have. I use hot glue because I am trying to work quickly. So I covered the end, and I'm covering the top, and I'm going to cover both sides. So I think I'll put gold on the sides, but you can choose whatever colors you like, and you might think about what theme your float will be about. Maybe you have a winter theme and you'll want it to look like snow. It's up to you. So I am going to use these colors and just glue the paper on. Now this is just your first step in decorating your float. my paper wasn't quite big enough, so I'm using an extra scrap to cover the end. And of course, I'll cover both sides. Then I'm attaching the end on. You could put the end on first, it doesn't really matter. And I put a little extra piece of cardboard to be that side that's missing, and I covered the whole box with my purple, green, and gold. And if you have a favorite stuffed animal or doll, I have my magical troll, you can make a float for them. This is a big enough box, and I even put a picture of the troll castle. Now, grown-ups, you might want to save your wine boxes because a wine box makes an excellent float. It's a sturdy box. You just have to put the end, glue the end together, and then put an extra piece of cardboard on the end to hold it up. So again, you have your little back of your float to lean something on and just for an extra space to decorate. And again, I'm going to cover this with paper. Now, a tissue box also can make a good float if that is what you have. Again, I believe in working with whatever you have available. I'm just going to cut the top off of it, but I'm going to leave a little edge around it because we're going to use this top for the end part of the float as well. I'm gluing the box back together where it come apart. And then, again, we're going to turn it upside down. And that will be the end. Now you're going to decorate that with paper just like we did the other ones. Now the hole in the wine box is very handy because if you have something you want to ride on the float, you can put it in the hole. Now for fringe, if you want to make some fringe for your float, which I wanted to for one of mine, I'm using tissue paper and I folded it in half the long way and then folded it a whole bunch of times and now make sure when you cut the fringe, cut it on the side that does not have the folds on it. So see, this side is cut, and that is the side that I am going to make the fringe. So I'm just going to make a whole lot of little snips. You can make them close together, far apart, depends what kind of fringe you want. And that should work for your fringe. And since tissue paper is so thin, you can make quite a few layers of it all at the same time. Now I'm going to hold it together on that folded side and just scrunch it around a little bit, fluff it up, and then open it up. And there you have your fringe. So you can fold it to put it on your float. What I like to do is fold it so one edge is not the same size as the other. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. See, now they're both the same, but I'm going to refold it so that the top is a little bit shorter than the bottom, and that just makes your fringe look a little more fluffy. And then you're just going to glue it right onto your float. And again, you could use whatever glue you have to glue it on with. And of course, I will attach the fringe all the way around the float. There we go. All right. Now you can decide what else you want to decorate your float with. There I have my fringe all the way around, but I decided I wanted something else on this float. I wanted something shiny, and I have these shiny pipe cleaners. I twisted 3 of them together at one end, and then I twisted them together at the other end as well. Now, what I'm going to do is bend it in half, bend all 3 of them in half, and then use the scissors to cut them. And this way, I'll be making 2 little kind of like shiny fountain shapes. So, or they could be plant shapes, whatever you would like. But then I wrap it around a pencil, wrap it and wrap it so it gets nice and curly, and then take the pencil out. And you see I have kind of like a little spring, so I can glue it in like the little spring. But then, well, yes, and this part you might want an adult to help you. Be very, very careful anytime you're using scissors like that. But I'm going to put a little bit of glue in there, stick it in, and now I'm separating the strands of the pipe cleaner to make my little fountain shape that I want on the corner of my float. And I'm going to make another one on the other side, and actually I'm going to make a couple more. Now again, for where my little wooden cat is going to ride, underneath the paper is that hole in the wine box. So I just had to cut through the paper now and stick the cat's feet into the hole And that's it. This is for if you're using something on your float that you don't want to glue on. I didn't want to glue these things on, and so I figured out other ways that they could sit on the float without falling off. That other little cat, I'm going to have a cardboard tube, and I'm just going to cut a thinner strip of it and glue that onto the top of the float, because that will hold the cat on as well. So I'm going to glue it into a circle and then glue it onto the float. And that's a good way to attach it. There we go. Okay. Now glue it on with the hot glue, or again, whatever you have. And you will find when you use materials like this, you will be inventing things all the time. You will be thinking creatively, and you'll be using engineering skills. And there's the cat can ride right there. All right. So that one is almost done, but now look at that. The one I had put the wrapping paper on, that one with the little bead animals. There's the one with the cats and the fringe. I added pom-poms on the back. There's my magical troll on his float with a picture of the troll castle, which I just cut out of a magazine. So you can add whatever you want to. There are the cats again, and here are the animals. And you can make a beautiful parade out of whatever you have at home. Happy Mardi Gras!